Welcome to TGE, the podcast, with Tyler, my friend, and myself, Sven. Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Sven?
Well, didn't you like how we just sort of went into it? Really casual. Didn't even Are we ready? Should we do this? We just went for it.
Nothing takes that casualness away like addressing it. Nothing.
Damn.
We're so smooth. Aren't we just smooth and seamless?
I did notice that sometimes you throw something at me and then I just say no, and I realize that's a bad way to improvise. Like, you should always say yes. You should just go with something as opposed to questioning it or saying, well, that's not what you said before and you're wrong. So,
well, not if I'm saying all the lies your lawyer said to Congress are true. You don't just say yes to that.
True. Why are you talking about that? Is there something that happened?
I don't know. We'll see.
Could this be the moment?
Something we talked about for 30 minutes before the podcast started and both decided, we don't need to talk about it on the podcast.
No, we're not going to touch it.
But that said, Sven, should we explain what this podcast is?
It is usually a podcast about filmmaking and editing, and we look at detailed scenes of iconic movies, look at the craft and the storytelling, and really take a step back and forget about just absorbing the scene as an audience member. What are some of the crafts elements that are working?
Yes, and we're doing it a little differently this week because we're pulling from a film that's just hit Blu-ray. It was just in theaters. It's a front runner, rightfully, for a lot of award nominations. And we couldn't really find a clip that addressed the part of it that we wanted to, that relates directly to an experience Sven had working on a project that I helped with for a little bit. So we're going to be doing this much more like a podcast where there's no requisite audiovisual materials.
That's right.
You can just listen. Just listen.
Which is going to be a not unique podcast about filmmaking. But I think it's going to be a really interesting for this film specifically, because it's kind of a hot topic. And we were looking at some scenes. They weren't really long, weren't really representing. I found one scene that's the opening, the first 10 minutes. Technically the opening, there's a scene missing. And we just couldn't get really warm with it, even though there's some things we could talk about in terms of pacing and how do you set up a character's journey to get them to that point where the actual adventure starts, the call to action. But might not be a great representation of the film and what's good about it. So we're going to keep it a little bit more big picture this time.
Yeah, and also, obviously, with a filmmaker like Spike Lee, you can pull any scene, and there's going to be something of value to talk about from it. As we saw this week, or in the last 2 weeks, you were talking about the Your Movie Sucks clip, Sven, that went a totally different direction.
Yes, so Your Movie Sucks is by Adam Johnson, who is kind of a cinephile on YouTube. He's based in Vancouver, and he made a 1 hour and a half video on YouTube comparing Old Boy, the original, versus Spike Lee's movie, and why Spike Lee basically phoned it in. And he calls it a monumental, cancerous embarrassment.
Wow.
And I watched that, and I really want to recommend you, the listener, to take a look at that video. Once again, that's Your Movie Sucks, or YMS Old Boy. If you search for that on YouTube, you'll find it. And it's such a great analysis, and it shows that sometimes filmmakers maybe phone it in, and this time they got caught. And
yeah,
it has to do. I mean, I watched the film, and I was the Spike Lee version, and I wasn't hating it. I thought it was an okay movie, but this sort of opened up my eyes that, especially with Old Boy, which is doing so many great things in terms of filmmaking as an international film, that's really opening up the eyes of Americans or anybody to Korean film and international film in general, how you can tell amazing stories in a very unique way that's different from Hollywood, and how you then take that and turn it into Hollywood.
Well, and has been for decades, because Old Boy's been around for a while. And it's funny because some Korean films, I'll take The Departed as an example, or Infernal Affairs as it was called, have been rendered into very different movies. yet that are very impactful American Hollywood films. Or Battle Royale being turned into Hunger Games. I'm kind of kidding. But the irony is that, Old Boy is just such a perfect film. It's just so amazingly well done that it's a real tall order to remake that. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why remake it. But the one thing I will say in Spike Lee's defense, having seen also but not having seen the Your Movie Sucks video, is that Spike Lee gets torn apart a lot, and I'm not sure what the reasons are, but we've addressed different ones on different podcasts, like with Do the Right Thing. But one definite aspect is that when he misses, it's because he's swung really hard at something, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And so lands like really aggressively on his chin. What was the movie Miracle at Santa Ana is probably an example of that. And yeah, the Old Boy, it was just like watching nothing.
Yeah, he didn't swing.
But there was like a lot of, I don't know, weird, more sophistication to it, I guess, perhaps, than you might see in American remake. It's just never ever gonna. It's almost like they took it and made it not make sense. Whereas Old Boy somehow made sense, almost just because of the aesthetic of it. The remake I don't know. It's almost like American films feel too much of a need to telegraph what's going on and explain too much, where Old Boy, it's like, this is crazy, and you immediately separate yourself from reality. You expand your disbelief to just get on board because you just want more of it. Whereas this one, and then he didn't eat the octopus, right? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's very tough. I guess maybe a tough situation to be in. Like, well, we're not going to take any of the chances of the original, but...
Yeah, I just remember when I watched the original, I was really utterly confused for about 6 to 10 minutes. And then I was just intrigued, and it just came to me where I'm like, oh, this is I've never seen anything like this. How it feels supernatural, but it's not. It's all in his head somehow, and you really just felt the intensity of that character. And that confusion / intrigue sort of was stripped away.
Yeah, and like the battle scenes and everything like that were just, I don't know, Americanized in like the worst sense of of the word. They were McDonald'sized, and not a McDonald's that anyone wanted to eat. It's almost like people, if the movie made like $500 million, that'd be another thing. But the corners were kind of knocked off of it, which is weird because Spike Lee is nothing but corners. Yep. Right?
Yep. So, I suspect he sort of just took a job and didn't quite invest himself as an artist as much as he should have. You can see it in some of the interviews that Adam brings up. And again, I mean, we're sort of just touching the surface here. What's amazing about this video is that the research and detail and insights that he gained from comparing the two movies. And that's what's interesting to me is oh wow, as a filmmaker, you really have so much power to make something amazing or not at all.
And then going further with that is how Inside Man, for example, which is a really incredible movie, but it's a lot more straightforward in terms of the template he was working with and the stuff he brought to it. It was a very successful, very popular film. So it's kind of interesting. Like it's almost like we were taking something that was like really eccentric, like Old Boy, and trying to make it watered down. But the guy who is watering it is like the least watered down guy working in American films. So
it's fascinating.
Added pain. And then, did you want to talk more about Your Movie Sucks? Because it took me a while to get to discover those videos, but the level of editing and skill that goes into those is just mind-boggling in terms of how engaging and fun. Like the experience you can have watching them talking about someone else's work is pretty mind-blowing and becoming pieces of their own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can just have admiration for the insights, the detail that Adam brings to it. I feel like when I compare to my own videos on YouTube, he's like in a whole different class, and deservedly so. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. He has a huge following, and he's providing so much value to understanding films.
and finding a fun way to do it. And how did he learn how to edit? That's the interesting thing to me, because it seems like it's all been just purely through YouTube.
Yeah, by doing it, I assume. That's how you learn it most of the time.
Yeah, and when you go back and look at the really early stuff, the voice is definitely there.
Yeah.
You know.
You edit a lot of stuff and you put it out there. That's the missing piece. It's like put it out there for an audience to discover. And then if the audience reaction is just not there, it leaves them cold, then you try things. And then once you have like, oh, this worked, this little thing that I did here, that elicited an emotion, that's when you start to grow.
And then the other thing is knowing, especially when he would do movies that were just coming out that he'd just seen, and just only working with the footage from the trailers and just the clips that are available. Yeah. Like we have trouble finding clips for BlacKkKlansman. It's amazing how just using that incredibly limited material and reusing it, it just never feels stale, which is really mind-blowing.
Yeah, there are a couple YouTubers like this out there that really perfected that form of critique.
Speaking of critique... So Dennis made another great video for our podcast on Get Out. We got some great reactions on that. I did notice that we were debating a lot in the podcast whether the tear was real, that he was crying, and it seemed like people made clear that there was definitive evidence of interviews with Jordan Peele. And I'm kind of remembering back also during the movie's release and the initial publicity that that was like a big draining moment for the actor to deliver that scene, and apparently one of the commentators said he wanted to retire from acting after performing it, which makes a lot of sense. So that evidence of Jordan Peele saying that it definitely was real and this and that, even though when I looked at it I was like, there's no way this is fake, and I couldn't believe you would think otherwise, now I'm completely convinced it is fake. And it's all, the more evidence the less real something is in the modern age of news.
Of post-truth.
I'm totally kidding. No. I just thought that was interesting. And it's great. That's the fun thing about the podcast, is getting the feedback. And we aren't authorities on anything. And so it's very fun to, outsource it and get everyone else's insight and enhance the collaborative aspect of the online community.
I have a comment here from James who says, "The commentary is excellent, but if you have not seen the movie, it lacks context. If you could show the scene first, then go back and comment and explain, that would be helpful." Well, James, if you read the video description or the pinned comment, or you look at the card that comes up at the beginning of the video where it says, here's the scene without commentary, you could just hit pause and watch the scene first after clicking any of those links, and then you could listen to the video. I'm not making fun of you, James. I think you're making a valid point. I just want to stress that, yes, we are aware that it makes sense for you to see the scene first before you listen to our commentary, and we're giving you the opportunity to find the scene. And that's why we're doing it this way in terms of finding clips that are available on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen BlacKkKlansman, though, keep listening. It's okay. But also, I'm glad you said that, because I remember seeing that comment and laughing, because I'd seen how, like, the extent you'd made to. Because clearly this has been a pet peeve for you for a little while, is people not... Just this whole concept of, okay, like, who said you couldn't stop, pause at any point and go watch the scene, and just making it more and more clear in the pinned tweets. But I also think it's interesting, because I kind of feel like this type of stuff, like commentary on the internet, has evolved in an interesting way. If you'll go with me on this for a moment. Mm-hmm. But it seems like it used to be every single person that made a comment on anything was taken as like a valid human being. And this isn't about this comment. It's just a wider thing. Like, you could do a comment on anything, and someone could get on and say, the sky is not blue. And that would be taken as like a valid, sensible thing. And trolls started to prey on that, because people would have huge reactions to odd comments. And now I kind of feel like there's more of a sophisticated, like, people have evolved in terms of their literacy, in terms of comment boards, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Because obviously you can see the stuff that people are reading stuff, they're putting comments on stuff, they're responding to stuff, but stuff like that, where it's clearly like, oh, he just missed it, like the old impulse, and he's probably figured it out since then or moved on to something else, whatever. The old impulse of, oh, I have to say something, or let's redirect this guy here. It's just kind of gone. And there's however many thousands of views that video has, thousands of people have read those comments and made that decision of, oh, whatever, he'll figure it out, or it doesn't matter. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying?
I think so. I mean, I can give an example. I made a video early on and made some mistakes in that video. Ironically, the video itself is called Movie Mistakes, how does continuity really matter? And every day I get a comment of somebody saying, oh, but the kid at the beginning doesn't hold a bottle from one shot to another. Even though in the video itself, I'm pointing it out at the end of the video. That's number one. Number two is there's already 1,000 people that made that comment. The video is 3 years old, and in the instant of the moment, the person watching is like, oh, I just found something that nobody else found. I'm going to just flag that. And
right.
So it is kind of fun to watch that through, and it's also good to understand, it's not everything's going to be perfect. I don't have to explain every mistake that I made. People will know when it's there. They will call it out, and they will call it out over and over again. And that's just part of the process of putting yourself out there.
Right. And maybe it's just that we're lucky, because it just seems like when I do read the comments for the videos that Dennis makes for this podcast, maybe it's just the community and we're just lucky or something, but it seems like everyone's really taking stuff in, and there's only been a couple of, I used to dread it, like, oh man, the video, I forgot there were even going to be comments, and then it was like, oh, comments, like, let's see this, because you're just expecting like the bonkers, 70% bonkers, and then like 5 sensible people, but they're all like great comments. I feel like it's an interaction and that there's a community, and I really enjoy being part of it and like reading it and seeing people's point of views on the stuff that we're looking at. Yep.
And you can't say anything without pissing somebody off. Doing it and creating something that is open for critique, you just gotta grow a thick skin and stand for something, and not everybody's gonna stand with you and be okay with that.
Yeah, which I think is another like huge skill that YouTubers are getting in terms of like the filmmakers of tomorrow, is interacting with reaction and critique and criticism, which is, a lot of filmmakers, you suddenly have a thing in Sundance and suddenly it's on a national release. Like, you don't know how to process backlash on your next movie and stuff like that, where I think this is another huge advantage of just having a response to your work that the contemporary filmmakers are going to have, the ones that are coming up now.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of people that elicit reactions, we are going to discuss BlacKkKlansman.
Yes, I recently saw the film and I liked it a lot. It was kind of like had a real groovy vibe to it, even though it had like this serious backstory to it and some serious themes that are being addressed, problems of this country in particular. It felt cool to me. And then I saw the ending and I was like, whoa, where's this coming from? This is awesome, but this looks really familiar. Because I edited a documentary called Outright, The Age of Rage, that is about, big portion of it is about Charlottesville and the alt-right movement. And I saw some of the shots. We actually had a camera crew there and saw them in that film. I'm like, okay, good. It's nice. But it definitely took me a little by surprise to see that ending sort of slapped onto it. And I think I liked it. What did you think? How did you feel about that?
Did you find out how they got that footage?
Well, it's all fair use, so there's no legal issue. They can grab whatever because they're making a commentary about a real life event. The crew, which was like a legit crew following this stuff before, like following this alt-right movement before Charlottesville even happened, for the documentary you worked on, you said their footage was in BlacKkKlansman. Yeah, I have to qualify it. The truth is, there are some shots in our documentary. There are a lot of shots that are also in BlacKkKlansman. And in particular, there was one guy who shot 4K footage of the entire event. And So he gave us full permission to use it in the documentary. So we're pulling from that. And I think that stuff is also available on the internet. And Spike Lee grabbed it.
Okay, so it was stuff that was on YouTube that you found. It wasn't your crew's, but it was your crew's footage.
We had a crew ourselves, and there are some shots, obviously. I mean, we hadn't put anything out. Our film was basically released in the same week as BlacKkKlansman.
Right.
So, I mean, I have to go back, but I don't think that particular the crew that we hired for that day, they used. But there's extensive amount of shots that we licensed probably several months before from the guy. So we didn't grab it from YouTube. We talked to the guy who shot this and said, "Hey, can we use this?"
Gotcha.
And
so it wasn't like the Panasonic footage we have on our drives or whatever.
Are you referring to Panasonic as being our cameras?
Yeah, I'm just throwing one out there.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, yeah, that's because that'd be weird to me because that'd be very interesting. But so my reaction seeing it, one, I'm glad that you finally discovered this movie, even though I begged you to watch it since it came out. When I saw it and saw the alt-right, the alt-right thing at the end of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw the Charlottesville thing at the end of it.
Yeah, you were just saying you got to see the ending, but you didn't tell me why.
No, I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
My reaction seeing it, having, at the end of the process of you working on that documentary, sitting with it a lot and working with that footage a lot and getting to know it, hearing it a lot, seeing it in a movie theater, which I guess isn't the experience you had, that was really mind-blowing in terms of the soundscape, because it was clearly incredibly created in post-production. The soundscape in BlacKkKlansman for that documentary footage. I mean, It was like stereo, surround. I'm willing to bet they added sound effects.
They did
for nearly everything, including I want to say the chanting. And what they're chanting at the end of BlacKkKlansman, very clearly to me in a movie theater, was "Jews will not erase us." But
yeah, I mean, it's pulled from the event. There were chants prior to the accident, Friday night, when they tried to take over the campus. So yeah, I mean, it's pulled from different sources. Spike Lee used music, like dramatic cinematic music, throughout the entire ending bit. That sort of adds another layer to how you experience it. It feels way more, I don't know,
visceral, like doomsday.
Yeah, you feel a little bit more like the filmmaker's hand there. Like, I want to say heavy-handed, but it felt like you're being guided to feel a certain way. When we did the documentary, I mean, I used all the tricks that I could to make you feel the same way, which is maybe a little bit more sneaky and manipulative in a way.
Your move or theirs?
My move.
Oh, right.
Because
to make it seem like it's not manipulated, but it totally...
yeah, it's less obvious.
I mean, I don't want to speak for the film, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously, we all have the intention to represent which is a historical event in a way that it factually actually happened. And so we have that definitely to uphold.
Yeah, and yet to make it seem that the alt-right movement was at all in the right would take a disgusting amount of manipulation in and of itself. Like it doesn't take a lot to portray them in a negative light.
Yeah.
If that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you had to pull some dirty tricks or like it's inexcusable and awful and that's that. I mean, adding that kind of, I guess, emotional impact of it is maybe where the manipulation comes into it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because when I took on the project, when I interviewed with the director, he showed me the film that he directed before this, which is The New Radical, which I think is an incredible documentary he did. And part of why I was so intrigued by it is because he's showing two characters that are somewhat, you could judge them for what they're doing. And he really tried to stay away from disclosing how he felt about them. It's all about the guy who did a 3D gun and put the plans on the internet. And how he's being sued by the government. And you really, when you watch The New Radical, you don't know how the filmmaker feels about this. He's just giving you the story and leaves it up to you to figure out whether is this unconstitutional, is this right, or is this wrong? And so going into making a documentary about the alt-right, we sort of had that same aspiration to just let those guys hang themselves in a way, or let them state their case, and then show the other side, show the experts to do that. I don't know if we really succeeded in making everybody feel like it's a fully balanced documentary, because we felt like there's certain things we just can't let them get away with. We need to put it in context. So I still think it's a very, you really get all the information that you need, and you are able to form your own opinion on this, but you might know where we stand.
Well, I mean, putting it in context is it's keeping it objective, I think, because it's just showing the truth, right? If someone walks in and lies, and you show that that is a lie, that's, I think, being objective, not being manipulative.
Right. But sometimes it's like the main character on the alt-right side, who people might know, he's the guy that got punched. He's the Nazi that got punched. And so there's a lot of things that he says where you're like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't think about this. But then you immediately have to put it in context, and you have to have like an extremism expert show you the data and say, well, if you really believe the ethno-state is a great idea, see what happened in Pakistan and how many people died there, and just pull that up and play a scene of that to see what that means. If you say, okay, everybody that's white is going to be on the left side, everybody that's not white is going to be on the right side, and it's going to be all great. It's not going to be great. It's a recipe for murder. And so you have to take that in consideration when you're making a film like this. And I think Adam, the director, really made great choices in making sure that that film can stand.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I don't think from what you're saying, there's a way to interpret what you just said is, he said an ethno-state was a good idea, and you were like, oh, I hadn't thought about that.
No,
I highly doubt that happened. But I also remember there's one part, like, I don't even know if it takes that much like research or insight to realize that's a stupid idea, because their whole thing is like, you pick what part you want, like, just tell us what part we can have. It's like, okay, do you want the desert? Like, you'll just go to the desert, like, that's fine. We can have like an ethno-state, but it's really just a way to trick the white supremacists into going to the desert. I mean, I'm for it. You just get all of America, and they just get, because that was one of the things, their big thing is like, you can pick. It's like, really? It matters that much? Like, do you want to just live in the ocean? Like, under it? Like, that's fine. Well, go for it. Or Antarctica? Why don't you have Antarctica, geniuses?
Yeah. But it's important. It's important to look at this ideology and to expose it, to put some context there, and then have people be aware. Awareness is really, I think that's the side benefit of what we're going through, the crisis that we're going through right now, is that we really talk about things that we didn't think about a couple of years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a very impactful, important, horrifying documentary, and even more horrifying to sit with for, I think, almost an entire year. Or how long did you work on it?
Yeah, I mean, the cutting itself was maybe like 6 months. We really had to get a head start, because the documentary was about more than Charlottesville. Charlottesville happened, and we just happened to be there. So it then became a centerpiece of the film. And it also sort of threw us off schedule, because then we needed to rush the project.
Which I've also read was a similar experience to what Spike Lee had in terms of the production schedule, and these events, like, the film had been planned, and these events, certain elections and stuff were happening within that, if that makes any sense. Like, they discovered stuff, and I think you were saying it feels tacked on. I think that probably goes some way to explain it, because I think there's a lot of stuff in BlacKkKlansman, a lot of stuff like lines that are clearly targeted just directly at the current world and administration in the United States specifically. Supposedly not all that was just in direct reaction to it. A lot of that was just like happened to be a correlation.
I see.
And then there were just more and more and more, and they couldn't take it, and then that ending got put on there.
Yep.
Just to kind of show where we are and keep it contemporary, which is, ironically, I've heard a similar thing to what happened on the movie Vice. You watch it assuming fully that it was made directly in reaction to the current administration, and yet Adam McKay, I heard an interview that they were like scouting it during the election, and he never would have thought that Hillary wasn't going to win. Was completely blown away. So it had been planned well before that. So I interpreted what he said.
Yeah, we should talk about Vice in the future.
There's a documentary that's another documentary you worked on at the end of Vice, so you should really see it.
Oh, okay, will do.
Just kidding.
Is it Ghost of the
cool.
Abyss?
I think it's the Ghost of the Abyss at the end of Vice. The sound. So the thing I was going to say that in watching the theater was, no matter how many times I watched that clip and had to source it and subtitle, but I because there's a heavy anti-Semitic theme in BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah.
And I always thought all those marchers were saying, "You will not erase us." I could have sworn that's what they were saying, and saw that probably 100 times in different angles and all this different stuff when they were marching on Charlottesville.
Yep.
I thought they were saying, "You will not erase us," but they were saying,
"Yeah, go ahead.
Jews will not erase us." That's crazy. And no, I looked it up. Like, that's confirmed. I just didn't know until I heard the clean sound in the movie theater that that's what it was, which is amazing because, I don't know. I guess there's no point in getting inside what their reasoning is.
Yeah, that's one thing that I thought felt really real in BlacKkKlansman is like some of the meetings that they were having, like in the basement, the way that they were talking and the racist comments they were making. We had that same experience with the documentary Now when we were in 2017 sitting in those meetings, same comments. And I also remember that during Charlottesville, we were like from the far distance across the parking lot, the camera was picking up a conversation between Richard Spencer and David Duke, and Spencer was mic'd, and he was like, they were talking about Trump and how things are going, and David Duke kept saying to him, "Yeah, what do you expect? It's not going great because Trump surrounded himself with all these Jews." And so we like, I don't know, but Spencer was like trying, well, you shouldn't be talking about this right now. Let's just like forget about this. And so we use it in the documentary.
But then also Trump defended the march also.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. Like, I guess maybe of course, again, we're not going to get into it, but I just can't believe that it was that, like, they were defending, like, I thought his whole angle was, like, well, we got to preserve history. It's like, well, this isn't even history. As the documentary shows, the statue that's being protected, was put up well after any historical significance should be attributed to it. And then this podcast probably isn't the place to get into my reaction to not realizing. Did you know the entire time, though, that they were saying Jews will not erase us?
I feel like there were different things they were saying. One of them is "you will not replace us," and the other one, one is "Jews will not erase us," or vice versa.
Okay, so that's the thing that threw me is I feel like they really obviously went heavy into looping "Jews will not erase us" and BlacKkKlansman, and it almost sounded like it was re-recorded even. Yeah. I'll go that far just because I know what the original audio quality was. Yeah. Who knows what they had though, but it sounded very professional. So, okay, so good. So there's a thing, but so I'm not completely insane, and they were saying "you." Yeah. I feel bad for people listening to this that are... And
they were also shouting blood and soil. In Klansmen, they were using the same chants in some of the rallies in the 70s. And so to realize, we've been here before. Yeah. This is not new messaging. These are not new words. They're picking up the same words over and over again. "Make America First Again" is something that David Duke uses in his speeches before Trump was even on The Apprentice.
Right. Yeah.
Making those connections, I think, was really, really powerful.
Yeah, and it was cool having that connection to it, having worked on all that stuff and just being way too familiar with the Charlottesville events in terms of the alt-right side of it because of the documentary. So to just see that stuff being kneaded into the film as it moved along was pretty amazing. I was like, oh man, this is just like, and then at the end they're like, yeah, we know, like here's a mini Charlottesville movie. It was pretty interesting to see also.
Yeah. Should we see and figure out a way if we can talk about the filmmaking of BlacKkKlansman, the craft?
No. Like, I think what we should do is we should do it later on, like with another clip. You know what I mean?
Okay. Return to it. What scenes do you think would be good scenes to look at if we find them down the road?
All right. So this is the end of it. This is the end of a podcast about film editing, which we did talk about at the beginning to some extent. We got a little absorbed in our own experiences, but it's an important resonant film for us BlacKkKlansman. It's a great film. It's very much worth seeing, worth talking about, worth discussing, and it has Kylo Ren in it. So, we wanted to. What we're going to do is use this as a preface to talk about the editing of a scene in BlacKkKlansman later down the line. If you have one that you'd like, that you recommend, that you think would be good to look at in terms of the aesthetic of it, because there's so much amazing aesthetic stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm ready to go. I can talk about some stuff. We just need a scene.
Yeah. So let us know. We hope that you enjoyed the audio only podcast. If you enjoy what you're hearing normally, let a friend know about the podcast. If you enjoy this type of content, we're going to have to work on some more documentaries so we can talk about them more. I don't know. We fully understand this is a movie podcast, and that is what it will continue to be, we promise. Next week, we're coming back strong with a movie.
Yeah,
Mulholland Drive.
We'll do European Vacation too. No, what is it? Las Vegas Vacation.
Yeah, Vegas Vacation is the one we joke is just waiting when we really strike out.
Next time.
If you enjoy the podcast, let a friend know about it. But I'll also add, if you are offended because you are a member of the alt-right, we don't need you listening to the podcast, and please don't. Jesus.
Well, I like it. You're taking a stand, and you're standing for something. If you don't stand for something, nobody can stand with you. Just make sure you stand for the right thing.
And we'll determine what that is week to week for you.
Exactly.
Oh my God. We appreciate how word has been spread about the podcast. We appreciate how it's going. We really gain from the conversation in the comment boards on YouTube. And where else can they comment, Sven?
thisguyedits.com/comment. It takes you to Reddit, to our very special, very own This Guy Edits subreddit.
Suggest some movies. Share some insights. Let us know a scene from BlacKkKlansman that's available on YouTube that we can do. If it's not 30 seconds long, followed by a trailer, and we will do it. We thank Kurta for the music, and as Sven has always said,
happy editing.
There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
Were we done? I feel like it got cut, but I think it had to.
Yeah, I think we were done. I mean, I don't know how successful of a podcast this was. I mean, I feel like I talked about everything I wanted to talk about, big picture, so that's good stuff. But we might be very low on filmmaking craft takeaways.
Well, the beginning was very heavy on it, so...
Okay. What was the beginning? I don't even remember.